Okay, welcome to the BeCollaboration podcast on a sunny day in June with my co-host Erkan and our very special guest Barry Haeger today.
Thank you.
For those who are regular viewers, we'll swap position just to confuse you.
So you can't edit it afterwards and swap it up.
Why just sitting over there? Yeah. So welcome to the Journey of Possibility.
Thank you.
It's really come around quick, hasn't it? Because we were like, oh, we've got a podcast this week. And suddenly, who's coming in? It's like, I don't know, we just lost track of everything. And Barry Haeger, I thought, I don't know that much about you yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will do.
We know so much about it. We have detailed files. Right. Welcome to the show. I'm going to let Gill ask the first questions and shut up.
Okay.
I've been told to be quiet on this one.
Can you believe that?
Blame me already, blame me. Well, I'd like to acknowledge you, Barry, because you have taken on a wonderful role within BeCollaboration as an accomplice. Or, for Joe Public out there, he runs the Essex group with our wonderful Carol May. How's it going so far?
It's a tough act to follow.
Because we had Scott before, didn't we?
We had Scott, and Scott is quite an influence on the group, and I think the group has developed in a particular way. But what's that about standing on the shoulders of? That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it up to new levels.
Yeah, I mean, we just to acknowledge Scott. I mean, the difference we've seen in him since he joined the community and taking on the role of accomplice from there up. Or they're on, I should say. Big difference in him as a person. So it's great that he's moved on. It's fantastic. You guys have taken over.
Yeah, when he sort of said he was going to, at the end of the meeting, that he was going to sort of leave and step down, there was a little voice in me said, I'll do that.
Hey.
And I thought, where'd that come from?
Somebody sitting behind him was whispering, you should do that, you should do that.
So there was nothing planned about it. I didn't sort of say, I want that.
Do you know what I always say to people when they're thinking of joining BeCollaboration is when the time is right, it will feel right, and it's an intuition, and it's like this pull that you do, rather than go, if I did that, then that's 3 hours a week that I could be doing that, and that'd be useful. It wasn't anything like that, was it? It was just an emotional.
It comes back to that right brain thing kicking in again, I guess. That I would have been far more analytical about it, but just go with the flow.
Times have changed. Just to make clear though, Scott is still with BeCollaboration. He just was wanted to change his emphasis and take up another challenge, which he hasn't quite worked out what he wants to do yet. But he is still very much part of BeCollaboration. And
there's a message there, Scott.
We're hoping to see you. I'm expecting you to be there next week.
But I mean, we've kind of started at the end of the story. But I want to acknowledge, going to the last Essex meeting, and seeing you and Carol, and you both, I don't mean this as but you're of a certain age. We're not like.
Thank you.
No, okay. But what I want to acknowledge is there was like a not a childlike, but like it was a youthful exuberance in both of them about being there. It was like watching. They were like giggly and they were looking at each other and they're like doing that right. And it was like, this is actually wonderful.
Yeah.
We were just having a ball.
Yeah,
we were having a ball.
Exactly,
We just loved it.
You looked like you really enjoyed it. You were excited about it, and you were. It was
the kids
important.
were let loose in the sweet shop.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, "This is really great."
Yeah,
really
you
great.
want people to come here to just sort of play with us.
Yeah.
And they've let us go. They've let us be in charge. And I'm like sitting there going, "This is like actually wonderful to see." And I think there was a vulnerability.
Yeah.
And a kind of like a kind of an innocent kind of zing about it, there was like a little buzz in both of you. You're looking at each other, and you got bits like, did we do that bit right? Should that have been in a different order? I was like, look again, the entertainment factor here was amazing. So it was really lovely. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. I think everyone enjoyed it that were there. Those that were there, and I think if you weren't there, you should be.
Get yourself together.
Indeed. So go back a little way then. How long have you been a collaborator with BeCollaboration?
When did Essex start?
June
2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when it was.
Oh, really?
I was there at the first meeting.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was the first person to join.
Oh.
Brilliant.
So I guess it was only right that I should say.
That's nice. It felt right.
It felt
You're sitting down the first day going, I want to get rid of that Scott guy.
I guess. What does he know about it? No. It's interesting because my relationship with Scott, I was introduced to him a couple of years ago. When we talk about it, we're never really sure exactly when it was, but and I had a meet with him, and we were talking. He was still exploring his whole thing after his change of career.
Yeah.
And I sort of felt there was a kindred thing there between us, and then back a couple of years ago when I was starting to put together this idea of the Mind the Gap workshop.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought I really would like someone with marketing experience in there as well, but someone I feel as if I could collaborate with, you see. So I got on the phone to Scott and said, Scott, we haven't spoken for a while, but I've got this idea, I'm putting together this workshop, I'd love you to be involved, can we meet for a coffee? So we met for a coffee in Chelmsford, and out of that came this a series of meetings. We worked towards this thing, and at Allsit Hall
I love it there. Yeah, perfect venue for it.
We ran a small event and videoed it, and it just turned it out, and then we had somebody else come along as well that I thought would be good to get involved with, and they had other plans they didn't of course where. But Scott kept talking about this collaboration thing, and I just felt that he would be a good person to collaborate. I never knew about BeCollaboration at that point, and he was obviously coming to the Hartford meeting at that time. And out of that whole thing came a sort of bond that one day he said to me, we're going to be opening a BeCollaboration meeting in Chelmsford, do you want to come along? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Why not?
I like to collaborate. Goes back to my time when I was at BT. I was thinking of leaving BT, taking the chairman's shilling as it was when they had a big shakeout. I mean, morale was terrible. 160,000 people in the organisation at that time, and they said there was going to be some voluntary redundancies, and 130,000 people applied. Yeah, they stopped all other HR functions, and they brought in a whole load of people just to deal with the applications. And that is bad. Yeah. It's a really, really low point in the organisation. So they didn't let everybody go, but I got out. And I spoke to someone who had been I was working in training and marketing around that time. I spoke to someone and I said, what's it like to go out there and work on your own? Because he'd been someone who'd brought in on one of the courses, and he said, he says, in an orchestra, there's several people that play the fiddle. Very technical term. But there's only one lead violinist, yeah. And he said, a lot of people are very good at being second violinist, and they're not good at that. So you've got to be sure that you want to be a leader, or if you like to collaborate with people. And that's really the heart of really what I think about.
So that, if you rewind your mind back to that first meeting, I don't know if we had the introduction video back then.
No, you didn't.
What was your first experience of BeCollaboration? Was it coming to the meeting? Or did you see anything online?
Nothing online, no. I just came along to the meeting. Came along, and there was a lot of people, and I thought, I know you, and there's a lot of people there, and I thought, hey, this is a really good community. These are the people. I've been doing networking, and I thought, well, I'm networking and trying to sell to the network, but here I didn't feel as if I had to sell to the network. I felt these are people that would share. There was this vibe.
What was interesting is I know somebody who was at that first meeting who saw you and went, it's Barry from networking with so-and-so. Yeah. And they had a totally different perception of you there than they did at BeCollaboration.
We have talked about that. Naming no names. But I felt the same about them as well.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you worked out pretty quickly that they're not like that. In other places they're like that, but here you got to know them at a much deeper level, didn't you?
Yeah, they said to me that they knew me in networking, and they thought I was just too pushy.
Honest. Harsh but honest.
Harsh but honest. Well, we had some.
I think that's a good thing.
They said at BeCollaboration they saw a different side to me, and they thought that was the more authentic Barry.
Yeah, it probably is, isn't it?
And I think it is.
Totally.
And guests that I've brought along, they've said afterwards that they've not known anywhere they could go to where so many men could be honest about feelings, and that was a surprise to them.
Yeah, and for for our audience is it's meant that, like, we've heard that before as well, but it's not a soft thing.
No.
It's more of a really
empowering.
Yeah, it's a very empowering.
Yeah.
Kind of, a lot of people say it's a safe space, but it's not a soft space.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's not soft, because if you turn around and say, but I can't, no one's going to let you get away with that.
No,
it's going to be, well, you can, and we're going to make it happen, or we're going to support you, or what do you need to? So it's not a soft space, but it's a very.
I think people are just very genuine in that space.
Yes.
And it's sort of like, as you walk through the door, you leave it outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's back in the days when we used to do training, you say to people about leave your baggage outside, come here, and we'll
That's
we'll
a big
learn to
baggage
get you in.
reclaim on the way back. but at what point did you kind of you turned up, you sat in the meeting, you noticed there was something different about the space. When did you kind of go? Oh, was it at the meeting? Was it later?
Yeah, it was at the meeting. I got to the end of the meeting, and it's sort of like filling out the forms. Well, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's just go and think about what do I do this in conjunction with the other networking stuff, and I just kind of like left that sort of stuff behind because I felt I was meeting the people at that group that I could do something more meaningful with, rather than no disrespect to some of the trades and things like that, but when I was peddling my business as a business coach, a lot of the people I was meeting at networking were not wanting to really look at themselves in that way.
Well, I think with business referral network, people are looking to get business, give business, get business, and that's
transactional.
It's
transactional.
Yeah, which is
good,
fine.
And if that's what you do, and that's your business, fine. And I didn't think that what I had to offer was the right platform for me. But here, I felt there was an opportunity in BeCollaboration to collaborate where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I think that's what we get with a lot of people working together within, and new ideas come. It's not a matter of that you come along and say, well, we're going to do this project. And it's some completely new ideas that emerged out of BeCollaboration.
Did you come to the open space? No. We were going to.
No, I didn't come to
that. Was a great afternoon where we did literally go, what ideas have you got? Let's pull them together. And then little groups of people went off to try and catalyse it.
Yeah, I was, during that time, there was a period, there was a few months when I was actually sort of testing my mettle on my recovery, to see if I could do a job.
So,
cool.
But how do we get there?
Talking about your recovery,
yes,
it is a fascinating subject, not from the point of view of all poor you, but from the point of view of what you've actually brought out of it and learnt from it. So tell us your story. Right,
it's in 2 weeks' time, it will be 4 years since I had a massive stroke.
Wow.
And when I say to people I've had a major stroke, they look at me and say, "Oh,
what?
all right." But
have you got any after effects? Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, though, when you have a stroke, it can affect a whole load of different things. Different people affect them. Some people lose their sight. That's the stroke. Maybe they're driving, suddenly everything goes black. It's because the stroke's in the visual area of the brain. What happened to me was, and it happened when I was fit and healthy in every respect. My cholesterol was good, my blood pressures was excellent, and all of those kind of things.
Frightening a lot of people out there now.
Yeah. So they said, "What, you've got a cholesterol below 5?" It was 4.6. Cool. Blood pressure. Blood pressure was great. It was 125/80.
Can't complain at that.
Yeah. I'd had a full health check 3 months earlier, and I'd been driving. It was hot. It was summer. It was July, and I'd gone up to Manchester for the weekend, taken my wife up there, left her with my son and his family. Come back via going to an event on the Sunday. But the long journeys I hadn't drank. Oh. And while the evening I was up with my son, we'd had a beer, everything to dehydrate you.
Yeah.
And then I get back, and then lunchtime the day after I'm back, I'm just ordering up some books, and my mouse hand went, and then my face went, and my tongue felt like it was a lump, and I thought, my face, I touched myself, it was my arm was burning, and my leg felt tingly, and I thought, really? I think this thing's like a stroke.
Yeah. There was no two ways about it, was there? It's not as though you
Not
could
really,
go,
no.
Hopkins and needles.
You know when you see the TV advert and the flames, apart from the flames coming out the top of my head, that was it. Yeah. So I actually went downstairs, which was fine, go on the ground floor, looked into the mirror by the house phone, and my face was all drooped. And so I think, had my wife not been away, I would have said, I feel horrible, you know, and so she would have said, sit down, have a cup of tea, see how you're feeling a bit. But there was no one to do that with, so I just rang the emergency number. And they said, okay, you're on your own, open the door, make sure the door's open, sit down near the door and wait for somebody. And the paramedics were with me within 8 minutes, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, this is the NHS when they're really at their best, when they do that kind of stuff. So this lovely lady came in and she sat me down and she sort of stuck things on me and things. And is anyone you need to contact? And my tongue by that time, you've been to the dentist and your tongue's in the way and you can't get your words out. It was feeling like that. But
so was it on the?
It was my left.
It was the
left side of my brain.
But you
so
kind
it
of
affected my right because it reverses. Yeah.
Okay.
And also the left side of your brain is, that's where your language is, language centres, and your logical thinking and stuff like that. So I remember when I was at the phone thinking, if I can't talk, how can I coach? And it was all, my life is collapsing. Yeah, I felt my life was sort of imploding if this was happening to me. But anyway, then the ambulance got chased along and they said, okay fella, you're going to be okay. They put me in the sort of stretcher chair, put me in the ambulance and blue light all the way to the hospital. And you're thinking, what's on this? And we'll sort you out, don't worry, you're going to be fine. And I thought, yeah, really? And I found it hard to believe. And then the doors of the ambulance fly open and there it is, there's a nurse waiting at the door. The emergency doors in the hospital, they're open with a nurse standing there waiting with the trolley ready for you. Wow. And I thought, wow.
Yeah. And
then they stick you you're on this sort of bed thing and they say, run you through and you go under this big sign that says resuscitation unit. And you go, oh my goodness, this is serious. You know, they're saying you're going to be fine and you get this.
Well, I imagine it's the thing. Well, I'm a medic first aid. You've got to keep assuring.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you start worrying, you're going to start panicking. And
it can make things worse.
Yeah.
So they go there. So it's then head in the CT scanner, come out, and then it's okay, right. You're in progress of a major stroke developing.
But what did they do? Did they go in? Did they?
No, what they
Sorry,
did,
I don't mean that in a flippant way.
No. Well, you're on the bench, you get scanned, and it comes out, and they look at the scan, and they said, it's a major. You've got a major scan from the positioning where it is and what's happening and how much it's blocking off of your brain. Your major thing to do. We can let it run its course, and then we can look at we don't know how far it's going to affect you, or what disability you'll get, but we can do the rehabilitation. We're very good at all of that kind of stuff. Or we can give you this cocktail of drugs, this called clotbusters, which have high risks attached to them and can be fatal in about 9% of cases.
Right decision.
What do you want to do? I've always found humour very good in situations.
You just cracked out a joke.
Yeah, I did. I cracked a joke, and I said, "Well, I can't phone a friend."
Oh, bless you.
Because my wife was uncontactable, so I can't phone a friend. So I said, give it to me.
And is that something they would have to do right away? Because it's in progress to make it.
So they had it already, and they already got the line in your arm, and then they went in. And then they said, right, you can't get out of bed. You've got to stay there. Do not get up. Then it's 24 hours of critical. and they're getting ready for me to move, and they start explaining that this is going to eat away all sorts of stuff. And I used to, they'd be chewing my fingernails occasionally, but and where they'd taken the blood test, prick, everything started bleeding
because it was thinning out the.
It's just I'm putting like a sync blocker,
Drainer.
And I felt this hot thing up my arm and things, and you start bleeding everywhere. Well, it's breaking all those clots down, that are blocking it. And tough. It was worrying over that for that 24
And obviously, no, there was no one there with you because obviously your wife was away. Your son was up in Manchester, was there?
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned a friend that kept on coming by. That.
Oh yeah, a friend.
This is pretty. Because who would have known at that point that something had happened?
Yeah, well, no one would have known at that point. But I was ever optimistic, and so I'd got. Once it started working, I started getting a little bit of movement back in my fingers. So I text a couple of people, and so I text Tabitha.
I think I remember this bit.
I text Tabitha and I told her, and like that, and I told my wife and this thing that said, "I've had a stroke, but don't worry, I'm going to be okay."
I'll be back out.
And I thought I was going to be out the next day or something like that. It's going to be good.
Miracle drug.
They said 24 hours, I can go.
Yeah. Not quite like that.
No, not quite like that, no. And then, so Tabitha turned up. She cancelled her appointments that afternoon and came that evening. And so she was there within a few hours. And so I had a friendly face to talk, someone to talk to.
But you never went under. There was an injection done.
No, it's injection.
It wasn't no anaesthetic.
No,
There was no surgery.
no.
It was just chemical.
Yeah,
Wow.
chemical thing.
Yeah.
Apparently they used to use it before they give heart attacks, give you stents and stuff like that. They used to use that for when they have heart attacks. Yeah, but stents came in and they're more useful. So now they're developing more techniques now as well, and there's nearby they're working on this thing where they put a small incision in your groin and they feed this thing up all the way up into your brain, hook it out.
Clever stuff, then.
Hit the clock, but it's the little bits and things. But
So-
that recovery's good now.
But anyway, tell us about the recovery. So that was
that. So okay, yeah, physically
an hour.
I'm okay. Yes, I'm good. And then the 24 hours later, they take me and they put me through the MRI scanner and everything. And they came and the consultant said to me, he said, "Well, okay, Mr. Haeger," he says, "You've made an it's excellent progress. We've got it all. You should make a good recovery." He says. I said, "Well, I looked at it, 9%, you've got 90%, 91% chance of being okay." And he said, "In all my clinical experience, I've never had a patient that has been so positive about what they were doing and made such a decisive decision to go ahead with it." And he says, "I wish every patient would do that." And he said, "Please tell the story."
Do that
So
now.
I'm doing it now. I'm sharing that now.
Yeah, and I think one of the things when you shared your story, because I've heard it more than once, but when I heard it last month, was that it was the grounding you'd had in your personal development and your coaching experience, and that gave you that strength when this thing,
resilience.
the resilience, if you like, or the
stuff happens, and
the certainty about how you're going to take it on. Which kind of like. What is it like? Preach and heal thyself. It's like because sometimes you can be a coach, you can make a lot of difference to other people, but you've got to include yourself in that as well. Yeah. So that had definitely paid its way.
Yeah, paid its dividends, and it's my faith as well, and that was that was really important to me as well, giving additional strength at a time like that, in a crisis. But
one of the things you were saying earlier is it gave you time to reevaluate where
It
you
did.
were as well.
It did, because it put the brakes on you, because when I realised I was going to be in for a few days and I had to cancel appointments, and I started arranging for the next week. And then they said, "You can't drive." I
There's
said, "All right,
optimistic and there's ridiculous, isn't
I'll
there?
get a driver." And then I said, "All right, I'll get a friend to drive me." And they said, "Because you can't drive." And I said, "No, I can't drive for a month." "Oh, right. Okay. Well, I can do that." And then, of course, at the end of the week, you realise how stupid you was on day one, and it wasn't really that bad, and you're not really.
Well, you're so
capable.
used to bouncing back probably in your life, aren't you?
Yeah, my brother used to say I was a bit like a wibbly. You know those wibbly wobbly things.
Yeah,
He says, "That's you." And So I did that, and I bounced back, and then after a month you look back and you say, how silly was I, a week after a week. And then when it got to the 3-month point, I remember going along, because I was part of a coaching group, and I was a licensed coach on a certain best year yet methodology and stuff like that. And I went along to this meeting, and they were amazed to see me there. It was a London meeting, I just turned up, and they said, really? It was only 3 months ago since you had this stroke, and look at you. And I said, yeah, so I'm feeling good. But at the 6-month point, I looked back at that and I was saying,
How did I do it?
what I was doing?
Right.
People that knew me and come and sat and a lovely guy came and he brought along some interesting teas, and we went and sat at the bottom of my garden. It was beautiful summer. We sat and drank tea at the bottom of the garden, sort of chilled, and very difficult. I've been so active just to not be active, and just to rest. I should have rested more. I know that now. But talking about afterwards, saying that I was quite changed. And I didn't realise, because you're inside, you don't see what other people are seeing you and change. And I think this is really helpful when I'm coaching people, because I realise that people sometimes don't realise their need for the coaching, because from their side of the wall, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's the problem is it's everyone else.
Yeah. But the other thing, it came up interesting today in the session I was having with people, when they were going, you asked the question, I said, well, I think I'm pretty self-expressed or whatever. I'm like, on what scale are you measuring? Because you're measuring from your own perception of what that might look like. But then you say to them, but that scale could be a lot different. It could be a lot bigger, and you're actually not as self-expressed as you. Yeah. You might like to think you're that self-expressed or that whatever productive, but when you start having an outside influence, you may find there's more opportunity ahead of you than you thought. Yeah. But one of the things I found interesting about your story as well last month was how it actually fundamentally shifted your coaching philosophies and your methodology, and I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. So what was the coaching? How would you describe your coaching techniques before?
Okay. Well, it was very much structured around techniques and things like that. Because I started coaching before they really called it coaching. I think it was 30 plus years ago, and it was you did training and you did support after.
Is that what they called it back then? And that would have been what, within BT or within?
Did a little bit of that within BT, and then when I left BT and I bought a franchise, which was called Priority Management, and it was. Basically, it was a former colleague of Stephen Covey. Dan Stamp and Stephen Covey worked together at a company called A-Time, and they left A-Time and set up 2 different things. So Stephen Covey went down one route, and Dan Stamp went down a different route and started producing training courses, helping people with productivity products. So I did that. And what we did with that was we had a training, it would be a half-day group training, and then I'd follow up. It was the follow-up a month later to 6 weeks later in the workplace to see how the application of the classroom translated to the workplace. And then 6 weeks after that, you'd come back and do a big stage 2, and we'd follow up with that again. So it was just called follow-up. It was coaching. What I also did around that time as well was I worked as a freelancer, and I did some work with a friend of mine who was he was a great coach. He used to use the GROW model all the time, but he was also an NLP practitioner. He did everything. He just kept going all the way through, and he was brilliant. And we'd go and do work together. He'd find the work, I'd go and support him, and they'd give me techniques, and I'd just do these techniques, and they were NLP techniques, and I just did them as a process. Because with NLP, it's really about modelling and producing a process, and you can follow it. So I was just delivering this stuff, and I was doing that kind, and it was very much coming from sort of intuitively. I was coaching with a few tools, and then I went to the coaching academy, and I learned at the coaching academy GROW model, discipline structure of that. And after doing that, I joined the Best Year Yet team with at New Level Results, and I was delivering that process. And that was quite structured, very left brain. You could track it. You had a web app to do this with, and you work through workbooks. And so all of that structure stuff very much played to the left brain. And I was working to people, like, what are your 10 goals? How are you going to work this through? All that kind of process stuff. Well, after the stroke, I couldn't handle that process. I couldn't work that system. I was doing the systems. I couldn't work that system on a daily basis at all. how could I coach people to do that process? And it really was a struggle for me. And I had one client I worked with, and he used to get a lot out of our coaching session, but it wasn't really out the system. So I'm evaluating all of this and struggling with it, because after the stroke, I could see all these gaps and things, and I was going like, it was like a fog. I felt like it was not treading water but treading treacle. Everything was slow. There was this fog around everything, and it was, as I described it, I think when we talked before, it was like standing on a mountaintop being surrounded by fog, and gradually the fog clears and you start to see this and that. Oh, look, there's some trees on that one over there, and that's rocky. And as it drains out, the fog evaporates as the sun comes up and it goes, and you see the landscape. You see how these things you didn't understand are connected. But because of the rewiring in my brain, I made different pathways. There were different roads, different ways of connecting these together. And I saw that there were gaps in what I was delivering. Because I could never know NLP as well as the guys that developed it. I could never know the grown models as well as the people that developed that. I could never know these different tools and techniques as well as the others, the way they've done them. But I guess so. I thought, I don't want to keep doing somebody else's system.
I imagine,
so I pulled it together. Are you trying to unify it?
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is as you were losing your capability in that way of doing it, you were noticing
the different.
You were already noticing. Hold on, these things are connected slightly different to how I'd seen them.
I'd have a shift of perspective.
Yes, exactly. I mean, one of the things that obviously you're a graduate of the Be Inspired program, and in our introduction we talk about the left brain and right brain, and in our culture, in our Western male white culture, it's very left brain. It's a very very left. Our education is very left brain. It's very, and obviously your left brain has been damaged. Yeah. Now the right brain has got a chance to go, lad. And suddenly these things are starting to look different.
They do, and because I forced myself to continue. The brain's damaged, and it starts to try and repair. If you don't give it something to work on, it could repair in all kinds of weird ways. Right. But because I was trying to get back into that flow, it was wiring up in ways which were helpful to that. Yeah. So what I now have is a perspective of things which is quite different. And I'm far more multidisciplinary. And I will pick the best and bits and pieces. I mean, when I did NLP not because I wanted to be an NLP practitioner and master practitioner. I wanted some more tools to help me to help people. And so I took bits from that. And when I'd have a coaching session with somebody, they'd turn around and say, "Oh, that was really good, that bit." And I thought, "Oh yeah, I picked it from there." And it was, I could knit it, it's like a collage of techniques.
Picnic basket to take your bits.
But it was messy. And what I wanted to do, because my left brain's saying, "We want some structure in this, Barry."
Shut up, you've had enough of this.
So I was thinking about it. So it was, I was saying to someone the other day about it was like trying to square the circle. Well, I didn't square the circle, I made a triangle of it. So I made a triangle, and I thought, I did some 3 principle stuff as well, so you've got the thinking and feeling and getting those things. How do you relate all of these levels, all these things to one another? Where does goal setting fit in with outcomes? So you're borrowing the language from NLP of outcome and goals from that. Are they different, or where do results and outcomes all fit together? Values and beliefs.
Do you think that questioning was part of the fact that, because obviously the language is, as we understand it, is mainly held in the left part of the brain. Maybe your right brain was starting to question how you were thinking about language and what it actually meant.
That's probably right, yeah.
And obviously from that point of view, when you start shifting language, the reality shifts.
Yeah. I mean, and language is important to the way we think. Yeah. Because if we adopt and start using different language, our thinking changes, which is a key thing within NLP, isn't it? About modifying that language and getting those.
Sorry, just to change something. Do you know how Gill and I met?
Oh yeah.
No.
An NLP.
There's the official story. There's the truth. No, the official story. We actually met on an NLP weekend course. That's where we met.
Right.
Interestingly enough.
Long time ago.
We've never done NLP since though.
No. We picked up a few tools and we ran with it. I was just thinking though, now you are in probably a very unique position in that you can now coach people who probably predominate from their left brain, and you can support them because you are now predominantly, assumably, right brain, but you have a memory of how they're feeling and how they're thinking.
Yeah.
So when I go into a client, I'm more predominantly right brain, so I'm like, oh, you should do this and try this and how about that, and they're like, oh no, I couldn't, oh no, give me a process, give me a spreadsheet, let me work it out. And you've got the double whammy now because you can really understand how they're feeling, what they're going through, but you've got the facilities to access.
Well, it's interesting that because of that use of language, and that some people have said to me that I've been quite creative with language, whether good or bad. I'm quite creative with my spelling.
No one's dyslexic.
Yep, dyslexic. Hey, you all stick together. Dyslexics are all KO.
There's a few of you about
I've got a question also.
Yeah.
When you did the Be Inspired program, I'm going to change the pace a bit and change.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. So you did the Be Inspired, and you shared some of your childhood.
Yeah.
In a way that actually was quite. I mean, you talk about someone who's been for a stroke, it's horrendous, but your childhood in areas and parts was quite appalling as well, wasn't it? I mean, it was dreadful. I mean, are we all right to talk about it?
Well,
Or shut up, Erkan?
Yeah, there were bits that were.
There were actually. What I'm saying is that
what was it that sort of
stood out? Well, I think the
out,
bullying and I mean, I had my experience of bullying growing up, and on some level, I think about the bullying. I mean, I think about my kids getting bullied. I think, oh, how awful! I want to protect them. Don't want to. But also, I know the bullying, not that it's in any way justified, kind of shaped who I've become. You know, it's part of that. It's part of that. Part of that resilience, or part of whatever you had to overcome.
Yeah.
Made you who you are today. If you hadn't had the stroke, if you hadn't had the bullying, if you hadn't had all the things that had gone on in your life, you probably wouldn't be the amazingly well balanced human being you become, right?
But you can be
of course I can.
Of course I can. No,
but I think that's been the reflection of someone who's worked on their life.
Yeah.
Because if you're someone who's been bullied and had a stroke and you didn't do the things you've done,
you'd be the victim.
You'd be a victim to it.
Yeah.
And you'd still be suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really
Many
thought of
ways.
myself as being a victim, and like a lot of comedians are comedians because of what happened to them at school, and it was a defence mechanism to do things. And
I can make them laugh before they beat me up.
Yeah. What don't kill you makes you stronger. Kind of.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to say about Be Inspired was not just that story, but also we show the Gill Taylor video. And that she describes her stroke and the difference it made to her, but it took her like 7-8 years to recover.
Yeah.
But her stroke became her gift. It became for her that experience of her left brain completely shut down, and she had experience of being in the right brain only.
Yeah.
Where she said that she was connected to everything around her. She lost the boundaries of her own body. Did you have anything?
I didn't really have that. What I think was happening was that the emphasis shifted, because remember I had the thrombolizing really within the window that it was affected.
So the damage didn't go.
So there was a damage limitation.
Right.
Yeah. What it does do is sort of, I was just mentioning about drain cleaner, but it goes through and it just cleans out everything in your cardiovascular system. It just goes and it's fine. But it made me very vulnerable to physical injury. I walked through a doorway. The door was open. I walked through a doorway and I brushed my arm, and the whole of my forearm just bled. But it was like a sponge, just squeezing the punch, and there's little droplets of blood formed all over the surface of it, and it just bled. Because of what it had done, the damage.
It would
weakened every blood vessel,
diluted the blood so much.
Well, it wasn't diluting that; it weakened the blood vessels so they were so thin they were damaged. Now, if I'd had a bang on the head at that time, I could have had a massive hemorrhage.
Right.
Which was the risk why you had to stay in bed.
That's why you don't move.
Yeah, you had to stay there.
But what I wanted to kind of draw down, did you have this experience of?
I didn't have that.
Obviously, you're saying that as your right brain became.
Yeah.
I don't. Let me describe it like this. Is it like the left brain volume goes down?
Yeah.
And down, and then the right one's going up.
Compensates. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe that's, or because this is going down.
Possibly you go down, the other one becomes more predominant.
Yeah.
So I balanced out the predominance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how the new coaching methodology started to come about, how you kind of started to
it did, but what it made me do was make new connections between techniques so that I ordered them. And this was part of the left brain trying to reassert itself, but I thought to explain it to people, it needs to have some order. So I remember talking to a neighbour who, an engineer, very, very structured, having issues at work with his boss. And I said to him, just drew a finger in the air, I said, look, it's like this, and just drew a triangle like that. I said, when you go into work, what you think you need to do, these are your values all along the bottom here. You want to do a really good job and you want it to be right. Yeah? So your top of your purpose in there is to produce, it makes missile guidance systems. You want that missile guidance system to do the right thing and actually hit the target. So you at the top of your, that's your main principle. And they're your engineering values and you want to do a good job. Now, your new manager, he's got a triangle over here. His values are quite different. He needs higher productivity. You want to do a perfect job. You see that they don't think, oh, he says,
and you did that, what, ad hoc?
I just ad hoc, in there like in the finger in the air while I'm talking to him.
So that's not even a pen and napkin.
I just did it, and you can visualise it, this sort of like pyramid. Yeah. You've got a different purpose at the top to his purpose of being there. Your values are therefore different. So you've only got overlap of a little bit, right? So when he's trying to make you do that, he's doing that to your pyramid, and it hurts.
And you're messing with his pyramid.
And you're messing with his pyramid. And so, you know, you've got to get...
So from that conversation with the neighbour...
I get it.
You got your...
And it was where that kind of thing, my model begins to fall. So this is where I had this idea of at the top of it, we don't just set goals, they're not the objective of what we do, but above that is our higher purpose. And there's some stuff that goes there, because what do goals do? The goals deliver results. So you only set a goal in line with the result. The goal is not the starting point. The goal delivers a result.
And does that result
does that result give you, fulfill your higher purpose, your purpose? Well, maybe it fills your purpose, but not your higher purpose. That's the next stage up, the higher up. Now, goals, how do we achieve goals? We take actions. Yeah, but actions produce outcomes. So the outcomes lead to the goals, which is where you get this sort of fusing of NLP with other classical goal setting type structures. So I made them come together so we can see, we form a language. What I do find is when I talk to coaches about this, you say, okay, so if what we're trying to do is to achieve a goal, that goal has got to be in line with the outcome from the action and deliver the result that gives you the purpose. So if you're drawing up a goal that doesn't actually have your purpose, where's your commitment?
Well, it's one of those things you feel like when you go back to do is that you just find that if you're not taking action in something that you've committed to, then the chances are it's not aligned with your higher purpose or maybe even your values as well.
It's that alignment is the thing that I find. I was talking to Gill earlier about a conversation I had yesterday, a networking meeting with this guy who was a director of one of the big banks that was involved in all the dirty stuff.
Mentioning no names.
Mentioning no names. But they're a well-known national bank that got into a lot of hot water. He was the director with a team that was for new business, and he sees his role as developing the people in his team and delivering high levels of business. And he no longer does that role. He's out of it, working as an independent broker sort of thing. But the reason he's doing that now and what was doing that is really interesting, because he told me that the kind of things he was asked to do was, rather than going out with one of his team with a client to develop his team member and get the business. He was told he had to stay in and do the report. But the report didn't fulfil his goals, his purpose. So it was somebody else's impinging on it. So he felt that he was not serving his team member. Another incident,
which is also his high purpose.
High purpose. For him, that is integral, and his value set is that it does that. He then, on another occasion, gets asked to, or told, that he's got to reduce his headcount by 80%. By 20%.
Oh, I was going to say, 80% is quite a culling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a culling.
Got to get rid of 3 people.
Yeah, so he's got to chop that out. Well, he said his response was, well, can we not just get the business up so that it justifies the people we've got? No, you've got to get the headcount down. So that doesn't align with developing people.
So the way I would describe it goes contra to what innately feels like the right thing to
Absolutely.
do. Well,
So
when I say right, it's like the most workable way out of this is let's get some more business.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep everyone.
Yeah.
And they're going, no, get rid of them.
They're going to get rid of people. So their objective and their purpose was different to his. So now he's getting this real sort of two-way shift. And so there was a couple of instances happening like that. And his resolution to it was to leave the business and go independent. Right? And so I said to him, well, what you did was you found that you were being asked to take action, which is, in this period about halfway up is action, take action that wasn't in line with your value, it wasn't based on your values, and didn't lead to your purpose. And therefore, you couldn't do it well, you felt uncomfortable because it was not in line with your values. And that tension made you unhappy.
And I imagine a lot of people in corporate or when they're stuck in those kind of roles, even business owners who are doing something that doesn't fulfil or meet their higher purpose or values, start getting ill, start getting stressed, and the whole thing starts to...
So what I do is, with my coaching now, is identify where that bit is, where that tension is, the gap that's now left in his pyramid structure by shifting all his actions to one side, and look at how do we address that. And what we do about that, and help people to make the decisions they need to in their life and in their business to bring alignment back. And he's done that by leaving and working alone. And now he's very happy. He's serving the people he wants to better. He's a smaller team that he's working with. And he was genuinely happy.
It really doesn't take much, does it, to move from a place of, well, you're striving, you think you're doing a good job, and then when you realise that what's it for, and it doesn't fit in with who you are as a person, the minute you change and start the work that is the right thing for you, it doesn't matter whether it's creating more income or less income, whatever, you feel more. So as an example, when I first started work, when I was 16, a few years ago, I started in the legal and parliamentary department because I liked the idea of the law and upholding the law and justice and all those good reasons. And I worked for 3 weeks in this thing, and one guy came in and said, and there was about 30 of us in this room, he said, if this Act of Parliament was cut out tomorrow, was abolished tomorrow, you lot would be out of a job. And I was like, yeah, he's right, I'm off. Because we were moving bits of paper around to do with something that could go like that, and it wasn't serving anybody, it wasn't providing the justice. And so then I moved down the road, went to work for the housing department, so I could now go and work with people and help them to be happier in their homes.
So you realigned your actions with your values and fulfilled a higher purpose for you.
That was all done, and probably a lot of people do that without even realising the why. It just feels better. It felt this is a better
Well, that's
fit.
a very right brain response to it. People that perhaps more left brain are stuck into structure and process, and I can't do that. They think of all the reasons why not to do it. But you were brave enough and perhaps naive enough.
Absolutely. And also, to be fair, it was a time when jobs were around and you could, move out and go somewhere else. But so it wasn't too difficult for me. But at the same time, I did have this sense of huge relief that's why I was so unhappy. That's why I hadn't eaten anything for 3 weeks. I had been struggling with the journey. I'd been struggling with my sleep.
Yeah.
And you don't realise how much it affects you in a very short period of time. I was bordering on being quite ill as a result of that space.
Yeah.
So once from that point on, it's like, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And it wasn't an ideal job again in the local government, but it was so much better because it was with people and I was making a difference.
Well, I spoke to someone else yesterday that was really, really happy with what they did, and he said he doesn't mind what time he has to get up in the morning. He gets up, he's getting out early, and he goes in there because he's got a real spring in his step and he loves his work. And I said, brilliant. Okay, so what is it you do? Why is it so? Why do you feel that way about it? He says, I clean. Right, okay, tell me about that. And he does deep clean, and he goes into all kinds of situations, commercial and mainly commercial, but he says, I go into maybe after there's been a wedding on and go in there, and he says, it's an absolute mess. He said, but I love bringing that order to it. And he says, when I walk out, I know that is absolutely spotless.
Nice.
And he was enthusiastic about it. He loved his job. Now, for someone else to say, "What? You have to go and clean up the beer stains and all the stuff." That's not the problem. Reminds me way back when I was after I left BT, and I was training in Canada with Dan Stamp's team. There was a brilliant guy there. He was an Australian. And he talked about his coaching he'd done in Australia, where there was these guys that they were shoveling all day long this foul-smelling bird manure.
I knew you was going to say
Bird
yeah.
manure.
Yeah, they sort of bird manure, and they're just doing things. And he did this work with them because productivity was low, sickness levels were high. It was really, people sloped off. They're going to beers lunchtime and stuff like that. And it was a foul-smelling job. Foul-smelling sort of stuff they were moving around. And where's the job satisfaction and motivation in that? Shoveling this shit all day long.
And yet there's a story, I'm not sure how true this is, about a company who had a recruitment problem because their staff, massive turnover, every 3 months they would disappear. And basically they were a cleaning company, so it was almost the lowest of the low in that you're cleaning toilets all day long, you go into offices and cleaning. And what was happening is people that were desperate for a job would go for the job, and then after a couple of months realised that actually during the night they were having to travel across town, which wasn't safe. This is in America. So therefore, after about 3 months, they're like, I can't do this, it's not safe. So they thought, okay, well, we'll solve that problem. We'll look at the problem and we'll just plug that. Here's a bus. We will go around and we will ferry you to all the things. So people stayed a little bit longer. 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, they were still going. And over the course of that period, the recruitment costs were huge because they had to get more people in and more people in and more people in. So they then got this guy to work with the workforce to fulfil their dreams. So they asked them, this guy was employed purely to say to people, what's your dream in the world? Not to do with the business, not to do with cleaning. You don't like cleaning, that's fine, we realise it's not the best job in the world. And they'd say things like, I want to learn to speak English properly, or I'd love to have my own business, or I'd love to have my own home. And they would use the workforce to support and help them to fulfil their dreams. So after a while, people didn't leave so much. And then when people were actually having their dreams fulfilled, like this woman moved into her first home that she bought and paid for, word went around, it's like, wow, that's the place you want to go and work, because they help you get everything that you want. Even to the extent of, you want to have your own cleaning company? Well, there you go, we'll help you with that and set you up. So they had somebody else who potentially is in competition with them. So rather than have a recruitment problem anymore, it disappeared because they had people queuing up to work with them because they knew that that was a company that had their dreams fulfilled. And it's just taking it from a different slant. People have this yearning. There's always going to be jobs that we don't want to do. But what an amazing place where somebody in that organisation cares enough for you to find out what your dreams are, what that happens to be.
Well, in the Australian example of shoveling, what was missing was the purpose. Okay, so what Gary did when he worked with them to help them find that purpose, and the purpose that he he got them to appreciate was that they were fighting world hunger, because the stuff was going into a fertiliser process.
Oh.
Once they knew that every shovel was helping fight world hunger, hey, that's a job that I can be proud of, rather than it's the one that's really smart.
Context is key, isn't it?
Context is key.
Yeah, but, you know, even no matter what, it's never about what you do. It's,
No.
you know, why you.
It's why you do it. It's always the why you do it.
Cool.
As Simon Sinek says, you know, start with why.
Yeah.
Which was influential to me.
Yeah.
That, because I looked at it when I was putting things together, I think, well, you know, why am I doing this coaching? Why do I love this coaching? What is my purpose in it? Well, I just absolutely love helping people make their lives better, be happier, be more satisfied, fulfil their dreams.
An honourable
An honourable
trade
thing to do.
Indeed, yes.
Coaching a great trade to do.
It is.
I mean,
They've got a smile on their face,
Yeah.
don't they? They leave the office or whatever, the session, might cry during the session.
and it's nice to know, you know, I met at one of the Essex council, they put on these things, and I met this guy who I trained, I put through my process, you know, that first franchise and thing, back in 1992. Wow, I met him about a year ago, and Tony has got a training business now. When you look at his website and you look at the programs and stuff he's got on there, he's doing what he does in lots of little modules is what we covered in that couple of days, and he built a whole business out of just doing that. And he recognised my name badge on the thing, and that when we was at this thing, hey Barry, and he called me, and I went and spoke to him, and there's a guy on the stage, and he says, this is the guy that made a difference to me.
There you go.
in my life.
Wow.
And isn't that fantastic?
It is fantastic.
What more could you want than that?
Because you're part of their life, aren't you? From that point on. Well, I did want to ask you, Haeger.
Yes.
Oh.
What?
Haeger?
Where's it come from?
So yeah, tell us a bit about you, because I was thinking about, as we was driving, I was thinking, you know, like sometimes before the podcast you're thinking, what am I going to ask him? I don't even know what I'm doing that. But I just thought, it just came up to me like,
I don't know, what do you think?
Interesting. Where's the origin?
Name out of a hat. No, seriously.
Have a guess. What do you think it is?
something to do with Haagen-Dazs, I thought. Haagen-Dazs.
I was thinking Dutch, to be fair.
Go and look it up. There's a in the States there's a village, there's an actual place called Hagerville.
Hagerville.
Yeah, no, that's from a different branch of the family. That's
Okay.
Those German immigrants went out to there, and it's spelled slightly different. That's with an AR, which is most people like in Jaeger. Yeah, and it's the R, so it's the AR. No, it was originally it was spelled as Haiger. Haeger. And during the anti-German feeling and during the First World War, it was changed by date.
So it's German.
So it has its Flemish origins, actually.
Okay.
And there's also one side of as the family's merged, my ancestry were actually Vikings, Viking fisher folk who settled up Barking Creek. And that's really, I think, because my father was from Barking as well. And his aunt was very much into the genealogies, and so she found a lot of background on that. And the really thing is, the same thing is, my mother-in-law, who's Norwegian, I used to tease her about being Norwegian and Viking, and so I do not like that. The old horns, and turns out I'm more Viking than she is.
Lovely.
Wow, you can never tell.
Yeah.
What's in the name?
It's a very, yeah. So, anything else you want to ask?
Well, I was just going to
Barry?
say, talking about helping people, and that's what you enjoy doing, and that's what you love doing, helping them find their vision and their purpose. And what's your dream? What's your going forward? What's your vision?
I'd like to share the higher purpose pyramid with more people, as coaching, so it could become a coaching approach. Because every time I test it against situations, I find that, that does it. It's got a way of handling that. Yeah. Where when I was working with the other models, I'd say, well, that NLP's good for that bit,
Yeah.
and this is technique's good for that bit, and your hypnosis would be good. But this kind of like, because I've amalgamated them and brought them together in a different way, it's a great tool for coaching. When I sit down and give 20 minutes, sit down with a coach and explain how it works, you can say when you identify a problem, you know where to take the questioning, because you just go up or down the ladder. It gives a logic to that. So left brain kicks in, so it gives you logic. But now you can be free and ask all your questions around it, but you know where you're going. It gives a map.
Little roadmap, yeah.
And who would be a sweet spot client for you? What kind of...
I think somebody that's got staff that they are finding problems
So
with,
business owners
with teams, and also partners, because it's a great, when you map out, if I mapped out your pyramid with your values and things and dropped them all in and your behaviours, and I mapped out Erkan yours, we could see if they brought together, was the overlap, where do you need to work on it?
When you say partners, do you mean business partners or
business partners, or even
couples?
Well,
Couples,
it works everywhere, doesn't
it works well.
Well, the principle does, but I just wondered.
So it works like. And if you're looking at, there's conflict between work and home, the work-life balance, or was it someone else I listened to the other day? They were talking about it as life blending.
Yeah, I heard that. No, blended families. That's the one.
Oh yeah.
Life
But blending
Life
like your
blending.
work.
Yeah, it's a guy from
harmony.
Palm. Something from Palm. Remember Palm? Palm, the old Palm pilots and.
Right.
Yeah, the guy that.
Where are they now?
Well, they're a software now, a company. But they talk about life blending, and it's blending work and work and play, and so you get that sort of thing. When you look at that life blending, if you map out what happens at work and what happens at home, and then say, well, do you know what? The top of these two pyramids have got very, very different things. So am I incongruent in one of those?
Making one of them wonky, probably.
Yeah.
One of them's not happy.
Okay, so on that
Lots of
note,
How can people find out about this pyramid from you? Where
Well,
do they go?
the first port of call is to come along to next week's.
Makes perfect sense.
Let's hope this is out by then.
I expect you're going to do a really great job editing this over the weekend, because next Thursday I'm doing
Always the first Thursday of the month, folks.
first Thursday of the month at Chelmsford. I'm doing a masterclass on this, so hopefully.
And masterclass says, once you become a member, you can go to masterclasses. But you did your talk last month, which we videoed. So hopefully,
yes, you can
whether
go.
that'll be public or private, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah,
We'll wait. We'll see the results. But if they wanted to get in touch with you personally,
again, possibly just email me barry@barryhaeger.com.
Barry@barryhaeger.com. And also, what I'll do is I'll put all your details of the book.
That's great. And
Haeger being Haeger.
Yeah, from the sweet land.
The Viking.
So, Jill, any news? Well, we've got that. Well, sorry, I've asked you a question. I'll wait for the answer.
Yeah, he's learning.
See, good. See, we should have breakthroughs. Breakthroughs.
Yeah, but then next week it'll be going out the window again. Sorry. What's happening? No, we've got obviously Essex in July. Yeah, so July we've got the Essex meeting first Thursday. Hartford the following Thursday. I just want to put a call out.
Friday.
The following Friday, sorry, that's the 13th. Friday the 13th. Lucky for some.
Yeah, day after my birthday. So we're
because we're all collaborators, please make sure you're there, because we're going to have a little celebration for Erkan, who's going to be 50. I know you can't believe it.
Difficult to believe,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
amazing.
Yeah.
He looks
Only
so
50.
Thank you. See, nice crowd.
And then, of course,
Supportive.
over in Banstead, the following Thursday, I think it's the 19th, is going to be Dave Cordell and Andrew Horder are going to be hosting their meeting. And obviously, the last meeting of the summer will be the fourth Tuesday of the month, which is over in London near Tower Bridge at Brown's Restaurant.
Yeah.
We have a break for August,
Yes.
but
Very
we
well
will
deserved break.
probably be doing a social. One or two people have got some things up their sleeves, so
Okay.
watch out for that as well if you're a collaborator.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
So I want to say, Barry, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Totally enjoyed that
When
conversation.
I found it.
That was the test. That was
It's
the
probably
test.
the quietest I've been on all of our podcasts.
Well,
so
really?
if you look back and say, "Oh, I didn't look that enthusiastic," because I was told to shut up by Jill, and she threatened me. With all sorts of things.
What?
Also, before we go down that road,
Yeah.
22nd of September, put it in
Yes.
your diary, our next Be Inspired programme. It's been redesigned, revamped, and it's going to be
It's gonna be
awesome. So,
amazing,
all the
yeah.
details on the
Well, I
website.
heard it was better.
Yeah,
looking
Come
forward.
again,
Yeah,
come again,
come
yeah.
again, yeah,
Some
absolutely.
people have.
So,
Brilliant. Thank you very
well,
much,
that-
Barry. It's been
that's
absolutely
it. Take
wonderful. And have great fun with all of the things over in Essex. Looking forward to seeing how
enjoy
that...
the new house.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's lovely.
Having a party?
Take care, Rob. Bye. Yeah, but give me the address. House will be playing.
That won't be in the details.
Take care, Rob.
Cheers,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.